This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothers podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle. Kyle, how you doing today?
Doing well, no complaints. Happy to be back, happy to be recording. How you doing?
I'm great. I am doing very well. I know the last show that we had, there was a little bit of an internet mishap, but you know what? We're trying to, we're upgraded, so everything should be going well here. I'm excited for that, but I've been excited about all the basketball that we have had over the weekend. I mean, it's been great college games. From the last time we podcasted, Josh Giddey had the half quarter for the win. So there's been some even NBA moments too, but overall things have been going well.
Brawl today,
have you? Oh, we did have a seven people ejected brawl today, which was crazy. Did you watch any of the college this weekend? I know you said you were going to try to get more and more of it, but obviously you're a busy guy, so I wasn't sure if you caught anything.
Only bit I caught, I think it was Friday night. Must have been Friday night. Thursday or Friday. I believe it was Friday night. I was driving home, and I think you guys were talking about the Duke, was it Arizona
game? Yeah, that game was.
So I'm like, I would actually want to watch that because it was close, and Cooper Flag was going off. So I did catch, I want to say, the last 8 to 10 minutes of that game. And then I actually flipped over. I think there was a minute, maybe 2 minutes left of the Arkansas-Texas Tech game. So I watched that. So cumulatively, I watched probably 25 minutes of college ball, and that's the most I've watched probably since, God, I caught a UVM, might have been UVM Michigan 2 years ago, first round game. It might have been 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, yeah. So one of the early round UVM games was the last full college game I've watched, and that was either 23 or 22 of March. So. I'm moving up here.
Hey, let's go. You're getting back into it. No, this weekend was amazing for all of it. Duke dominated Alabama, which Duke's run has been very impressive, but that Arizona game was a massive test for them. That was really Cooper Flag's coming out party, quote unquote. We all knew Cooper Flag was amazing. He had great games during the season, but obviously when you get to that tournament and you get in that moment, that was that. And then speaking of coming out moment, quote unquote, because she's had great games, Paige dropped 40. So that was no UConn player has ever dropped 40 in a game. So between those two games, those are the two that stuck out, but there was too many good games this weekend.
Keenan, actually, you just asked me in pre-show. And we're going to do this real quick. And you asked me what I had for topics. And I said, I don't really actually have much that that are other than quips, nothing mainstream topics. But fan of the show, friend of the family, longtime friend, Gino Lett gave me a topic. He just randomly messaged me this out of the blue. This actually might have been Friday night. It was either Friday or Saturday night. He mentioned this to me. Really got me thinking. And if you want to table this for another time, we can. But I'm going to throw it at you the same way, he threw it at me, which is top 5 or starting 5 all white American-born players. Who would it be?
Okay. It's actually kind of funny. I'm going to quickly have a little story and then I'll go into that. It was kind of funny because I was talking with a guy that I work with. His name is Avery. And we were like, the white basketball players are coming back.
They are coming back.
I was gonna say, you have Con Knippley, we've got Cooper Flag from UConn, Liam McNeely. That's 3 people who are that are going to be in the top 14 in this year's draft. Then you got Grant Nelson, who's very good. There's a lot of the white basketball players coming back, and all of that's bound to do. Yeah, Reed Shepherd, absolutely.
That's got to be the highest.
They're coming back.
That's going to be the highest white lottery pick since. Kaminsky was pretty high.
Bird.
It's Bird, right? I mean, Kaminsky went 7 or 9. Kaminsky went in the top 10, I believe, which is insane.
I was going to say, he went high.
Kevin Love also
it's crazy.
High.
I mean, Kevin Love did go high. We do have a number 1 this year, though, so it's good.
That's right. Yeah, Cooper Flag, a New England white of all people.
Yeah, from Maine. Shout out Coop. But my all time, so it'd have to be favorite or best. Just favorite. Saying, just question. Favorite. Okay, that's tough. This is off the top of my head. So like, if I was to give this like 25 to 30 minutes of thought, it'd be different. But Gail Goodrich at the 1. For some reason, playing 2K and then going back and like Gail Goodrich, I liked him more than Jerry West, even though Jerry West is clearly.
No one would mistake that name for anything other than a white person's name.
Honestly,
notice I said white person because Gail could be a woman or a guy. Gail Goodrich,
it really could. So Gail Goodrich at the 1. We got Kyle Korver at the 2.
Ooh,
has to be.
Okay.
Kyle Korver's been one of my longtime favorites.
Shouts Kyle Korver.
Larry Bird at the 3. I mean, it's hard not to go Larry. I mean, he's a star. He's the star of my roster.
To quote Bill Murray in Space Jam, Larry's not white, Larry's clear. So I guess we'll
go Bulls. Larry, you think I could play, right? No, Bill. You could not.
We got multiple Space Jam quotes. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. You brought it up, so I had to. So that's my 3. Again, this is up Brian Scalabrine. I was a big fan of him, so Brian Scalabrine is going to run the 4.
That's a good one.
Brian Scalabrine at the 4. We're gonna come back to this at some point when I get some thought. And not my 5. Who do I want at my 5? You know what? Move Brian Scalabrine to the 5, and right now we're gonna put Steve Novak at the 4.
Damn.
And so that's for right this second. That is that. And as I go through this podcast, I'll probably remember people. But so we got Gail Goodrich, Kyle Korver, Larry Bird. We're going to go Steve Novak, and then we're going to go Brian Scalabrine.
Steve Novak's in my rotation. I don't know if he's in my 5, but he was typed in my 5. But then Gene started mentioning some players, and I'm like, oh, they could be in there. I think Jerry West would be my 1. And this is one I remembered after the fact. Like, I'm trying to think of another point guard. Like, obviously Stockton could go there. I can't say I love Pistol Stockton Pete. Like that. Like, obviously he's great. Pistol Pete. You know what? Pistol Pete might have to be in there. All right. We're going with a Jerry
again,
West.
This wasn't the best. If I had the best, then it would be like Pistol Pete, Jerry West, Larry Bird, maybe Kevin McHale, and then we could go like a George Mikan or something. Like if that was going best, it's different. But
so here's my thing. I have this is gonna be tough because I'm gonna have Jason Williams, White Chocolate. He's got to be up there. Between him and Pistol Pete and Jerry West at the guard spot. And I had Peyton Pritchard in there. I love Peyton Pritchard. Like, that's one of my guys right there. So that's 4 that are already tough. And then I could throw Chris Mullin in there at the 2 as well. But I could put him at the 3.
Yep.
Larry Bird's in there for sure. Larry Bird is, like, in my top 5 favorite players ever anyway. So Bird's got to be in there.
Of course. I thought about McHale too, but I decided not to go McHale because I went
threw McHale
like
in
honestly, let me actually I'm gonna put McHale in instead of Steve Novak. Sorry, Steve Novak. You're a shooter, but I've got to put McHale in. I'm a fan. Too much of a fan of McHale to do that.
I do like Kevin McHale. All right. I got to throw Pistol P in there for sure, right?
Yep.
So
okay.
Bird, Pistol. Ooh, all right. I got you. Because I completely forgot about one. We're going Bill Walton at the 5. All right. We're going Larry Bird at the 3 because I love Bill Walton. Going Bird at the 3. He might eventually go to the 4. We're going to see. And then we're going to go. This says something that they're all like 1970s, 1980s era, basically, all of these. But Maravich 2, Jerry West 1, Larry Bird 3, Walton at the 5. So at the 4, I might just put Flag there. I might just put him there already. As far as
I wasn't sure if I wanted to,
like
but you know what? That's fair. I like your 5 better than my 5. To be honest,
he's New England family. But see, this is the thing. Like off the bench, like I like Chris Mullin. I just said Pritchard, Jason Williams, who's basically new age Pistol Pete.
Mike Miller.
I do like Mike Miller. Mike Miller's a good one. Mike Miller, that's a good one. That's a great one. Weirdly, Kevin Love, like he probably at one point would have been on this list, but he's never really been a player I love, especially Cleveland era on. He got away from rebounding. Like when he was like the best rebounder in the league and outlets, Kevin Love would have been up there. Like he probably would have been on the trajectory. Then he just became a spot-up shooter. I mean, more than a spot-up shooter, but I mean that primarily became his game post Minnesota. Novak, obviously, love Novak on the Knicks. Yeah. Here's one, Keenan, that kind of throws me for a loop because Franz Wagner, he's a German national. He plays for Germany. Do we get Mo, though? Mo played college over here.
Probably not, just because if we don't get Franz, we shouldn't get Mo. But
did he play high school over here? Do you know? Because you used to be a Mo.
I don't know if he played.
You used to be a Mo Wagner guy. Like you were on the.
Yeah. No, I was a big Mo Wagner guy
for a little bit. Like Gene actually thought you were going to put in Bryant Reeves, Big Country, or Bill Laimbeer. He thought you might, and I was like, you know what? That's something Keenan would do.
Listen. I'm going. We're gonna have to like table something like this. We're gonna come back to. I'm gonna have to give him like a legitimate 5. This is off the top of my head.
I invited Gene to come on too. I said, Gene, if you want to come on and broach this topic and we can all debate this. He didn't even answer back. So I don't know if he got cold feet. I don't know what happened, but it's not the Gene Olette. I know. Gene's never quiet. Then all of a sudden he got extra quiet after I invited him on. Man. So it's tough. It's tough. I'll say this, Mo Wagner, though, if we're doing just skin complexion, white, European, American, whatever, Mo Wagner might be in the starting 5. I've become such a Mo Wagner fan.
I like myself, Mo Wagner.
He's a psycho.
I mean, I'd have Dirk.
He's a psycho.
I would have Mo.
Mo Wagner's a straight up psycho. Like he's German Draymond Green, and like, but also like thinks he's like he still carries himself like he's a lottery pick because I think he was a lottery pick.
He does.
Well. Which is good, by the way. That's a good thing. You were also, Keen, speaking of American whites, you were big on for a little bit Mitch McGary. He was someone whose draft stock randomly rose during March Madness, and then like
that Michigan team. I love Trey Burke, Nick Stauskas, Mo Wagner, Mitch McGary. I like that Michigan squad over that like early 2010s to mid. Like I was a fan of that. Yeah, I was a fan of them. I like that Michigan squad. That was good. I've got a perfect segue. Okay. If we're going right there. Okay,
doing a racial draft? Is that what we're
doing? We're not doing a racial draft. But Kyle has presented some either ors in a podcast that will never see the light of day, unfortunately.
That's true. I mean, we could bring him back. We could bring him back.
We could. At some point we will, Kyle. I have some kind of either or, which is better kind of scenarios, and one of them happens to be one of the players that we mentioned that we both love, and it's Larry Bird. And which one's a better passer? Who is a better passer, Larry Bird or Nikola Jokic?
I got to say Bird. Off the top, Bird. Jokic is incredible. I'm assuming what sparked this was Jokic's pass the other night to Aaron Gordon on the baseline, which was insane.
Yeah, so like I was just thinking about some stuff, and I was like, Larry Bird is such an underrated passer, especially because his assist numbers are not like high, but he played within the flow of the offense. Like Dennis Johnson was the true point guard, brought the ball up, but like you could clearly run an offense through Larry. He could be a number one. I mean, be the one on a team.
Yeah, so I mean, he was essentially.
I was interested.
He was essentially their point forward. He is. I mean, Bird's on the short list for me as passers. That's why he is one of my favorite players, because he's just sees the game differently. Like truly sees the game differently. He is a genius.
I would go Bird too.
4 steps ahead. Here's my thing though. The game's obviously like with Bird in the 80s, really anything pre-2010s, the game's more cut, right? So Bird's more about a timing, whereas Jokic, people do cut more for Jokic because they know if they're getting the ball, but in general, he's finding shooters more. So he's a lot like LeBron.
Bird played today, he probably would be putting up close to Jokic numbers.
Sure, sure, yeah. No, honest to God.
It would be 31, 10, and 8 would be him on a given night. I mean, because he was 28, 10, and like 4
Right.
for the prime of his career. So he'd be getting like 31, 10, and 8.
So I think Bird threw tougher passes, like thread the needle type passes more than Jokic. I think Jokic is finding guys wide open more. But honestly, like if you put Jokic in the 80s, it's probably not that far off. He can probably do a lot of what Bird does, but Bird made some ridiculously like stupid passes. I don't care what era you're playing in. There's stuff where you're like, how do you even think of that? Why did you even think of that? So yeah,
there was one player that made the passes that he could, and it was a guy in LA.
Yeah, honestly, Keenan,
like Isaiah was a great passer, Stockton was a great passer, but they didn't have the imagination level of Larry.
Same with Pistol
like,
Pete.
Pistol
Pete threw some ridiculous stuff too. So I mean, honestly, I would put Bird right next to Magic as far as a passer. So no, it's got to be Bird for me. That's a great question. But but Jokic also on the short list too. Jokic is somewhere in the top 10 or 12. Again, I'd have to write them all down and think about it all. But Jokic is up there too. Jason Kidd too. Jason Kidd is
underrated. Another guy who's kind of getting not lost in history, but a little bit forgotten in history with how amazing him and Steve Nash too. Steve Nash was another one that's like, oh golly, you can do whatever you want.
New LeBron co-host Steve Nash.
Yes, shout out to that. So we got peak scorer. Just doesn't have to be. He was a better peak scorer. Kyrie Irving or Allen Iverson?
Night to night, Iverson. As far as having a bag, Kyrie, because I mean Kyrie's got all the counters in the world. Kyrie's got counters to his own counters. I heard Iman Shumpert, because he played with the Cavs. I heard him tell a story once talking about how like he's never faced a player who is waiting for the defense to react to like decide what move he's gonna do. Like he said, Kyrie's completely react to the defense, whereas most offensive players are like not necessarily thinking about what they're gonna do, but they're they got their go-to moves that they're gonna look for. Whereas Kyrie's completely reacting to what the defense is gonna do. I thought that was really interesting. Night to night, it's hard to say it's not AI. I think Kyrie Celtics on is like 25 a night. I'm sure it's dipped here and there given injuries, but I mean, there's years where Iverson averaged 33, and the load was completely on Iverson. So
in an era that was harder to score in, just because of pace of play and things like that. So like, if you look at point totals, like the Warriors tonight dropped 146. You weren't really seeing 146 ever dropped in the early 2000s. So
I would say it's close. I mean, you're not really wrong if you say Kyrie, because again, he does have probably more counters. He can shoot better from three for sure. Mid-range AI is pretty good. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously he's taken the majority of the shots for the Sixers, so his efficiency dips. It's close. I'd say night to night AI overall. Probably Kyrie.
I agree with that. I think if I had I need a better score for a season, I'd probably give you AI. But if I was like, I need one game, I might give you Kyrie, because I mean, not that AI is not able to give you a game. He give you 48 in game one against a 2000 Lakers team, which is one of the better teams of all time. Actually, I'm going to bring that up right now, because that's a great segue too. Speaking of the 2000 Lakers, one of the best teams of all time, which team do you think is better? That Lakers team, the 2000 Lakers, or the 1992 Bulls? I picked that Bulls team for a reason.
So 2000 or 2001 Lakers?
So the 2000-2001 Lakers, the ones that went. Oh wait, no, it been the 99-2000 one, the one that went 15-1 in the playoffs. Shaq was the MVP, All-Star Game MVP, Finals MVP. I think that was the one against the Sixers, where they only lost to one game.
Yeah, that'd been 2001. That'd been 2001.
Oh, that'd been 2000,
because 2001 was the year AI was MVP.
Yeah.
That year, so they went 15-1.
Yeah.
That's Shaq and Kobe, Jordan, Pippen. They won a lot of games in '92.
I want to say they were 62-20 in '92. I'm gonna look at it.
What's a better team? I mean, so I was born in the year 1992, so hard for me to say what those Bulls looked like night to night. I would have been 9 in 2001. But I do actually remember. I remember watching the Lakers. I don't remember intricacies.
Oh no, that Bulls team was correct me. Sorry, they were 67-15 that year. That's because that was it. Because I remember on the Jordan doc, like when they were going through, because they were talking about it, Bill Simmons was mentioning how like he thinks that, and on his podcast, I think he was mentioning too, like how that's one of the most forgotten best teams of the Jordan era. That team right after they won their first chip. So because they went 67-15 and kind of just blew through the competition, then beat the Blazers in the finals.
It's crazy that you get a Jordan team that's got 67 wins, 72 wins, and then they followed up to 72 with 69. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Again, that's the Warrior. That was the only thing we've seen semi-similar was the Warriors. They went 67-15, 73-9, and with KD went 67-15, like over a 3-year stretch.
They had 2 seasons of 67? Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild.
No, I was going to say, that to me, that's why I think, obviously that's like, we can have that argument on a different day, but like pound for pound, the 2017 Warriors to me is the best team of all time.
Oh yeah, I mean sure. I mean if you,
but no, I'm just saying that's fine. I mean they were a 673 team that added Kevin Durant, but like they walked through the regular season at 67-15. They went 16-1 in the playoffs, and they only lost a game because the Cavs got so hot from three that I think they made the most threes ever in a first half. Like they were incredible. They went insane in that game. But like, yeah.
As they should have. As they should have would be my
don't. I'm not trying to make it. I'm not trying to make it seem like it was like a shock because the season was over on July 4th of 2016. Like that July 4th ended the season, and obviously season hadn't started yet. But I was just saying that like
back to those teams though.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably take 0-1. It's hard to take Kobe entering his prime and Shaq dead set in his prime.
I would say the same because I want to say that team was 66-16, maybe.
But I think at the other side of that, Jordan, Pippen at their like athletic peaks. I mean, they're gonna give problems to anybody too. So I would lean
7-game series.
7-game series, but I'm giving the edge to Shaq because I mean you ain't got Rodman to bug him there. You ain't got nobody to guard Shaq, and Shaq's gonna probably put up 45 and 23 with a few blocks on you. So yeah, Shaq.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna have Bill Cartwright and Will Perdue in checking him. So
that being said,
in a little bit, and you're gonna see Horace Grant.
You get Shaq in foul trouble at all, you at least got Pippen and Jordan to give Kobe problems, right? So
yeah,
then it turns into a different game. But
yeah, for sure.
As long as Shaq's on the floor, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I'd lean that Lakers team. And the 99-2000 Lakers, they went 67-15 the year after they went 56-26. But so this is going to be a complete turn from like what we were talking about, but it's interesting. Do you think right now Donovan Mitchell is a Hall of Famer?
Hard to say, but I mean, yeah, he's definitely on the trajectory. Yeah. For sure.
I think he's going to be, but I like obviously there are some players clearly in the league right now. There's plenty of them that would, if they just stopped playing basketball today, they're a Hall of Famer. And Donovan Mitchell, because I was thinking about it for like playoff runs, and obviously you always think of like who would this benefit the most of championships and deep playoff runs and things like that. Because obviously going into it, like obviously always the legacy talk, but not like in a way of like, oh, this guy needs to do this to be better than this guy specifically. But I was just thinking if Donovan Mitchell's able to get that team to even the finals and go on like a deep playoff run like that, I think he almost solidifies himself as a Hall of Famer. So that's what I was thinking about that. And if right now, I think I would say no. But I think he is absolutely on the trajectory where at the end of his career, he's probably he most likely should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason to keep him out. You know what I mean? I mean, he's got the All-Star games, he's got the All-NBA, and he's got the playoff success too. I mean, I don't
like this year. There's a chance that he is first team All-NBA, especially with the team success. Even though statistically, it's not like his best season. He's averaging 24, 4, and 5, but like. That Cavs team could get to 63 to 64 wins. You could definitely see him there. For a career, he's averaging under 25, just a tick under, 4 rebounds and close to 5 assists. So
if you talk about the elites of the 2020s, he's on that list, right? And he came in tail end of the 2010s, I think maybe 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, it's the 2017-18 was his first year, and he was very good from then. He has an average under 20 points in a season ever.
Yeah, and he was essentially their best player already that rookie season, and I think I'm assuming he's been an all-star since that second season on, if not third season. So yeah, if his career were to end today, I think they'd give him the nod, especially given how he was the number one option on all these teams.
Fair. 70 points in a game, that matters.
Right, I forgot about that. Yeah. I think for sure Donovan Mitchell would be and will be.
Yeah, I definitely will be. I was just curious. Like right now, I think he's at borderline. I don't think it's first ballot. Depends on your year. But I think that he definitely, after a bit, would get in. And he deserves it. Well deserved, too. And he's obviously got plenty of career left. He's late 20s, early 30s.
I remember hearing...
Somewhere around there.
I remember
28.
He's 29.
He's 28. 28. Born he's turning September 7th. He was born in 96, so he's a year younger than me.
I remember hearing him on a podcast after he was this is probably halfway through his rookie season. And I forget the exact timeline of the story. I forget if it was cuz I think he was at Louisville for 2 years.
Yeah.
2 or 3, I don't know. And I forget if he was telling this after his first year and he was trying to come out, or if it was after his second year when he did come out. It must have been after his second year, because he said he hired an agent, and his agent was the same agent as Chris Paul. Actually, must be Leon Rose, I'm assuming. Might have been Leon, the guy who's the GM for the Knicks now.
Yep.
And he hired a workout session for him, Chris Paul, I think Paul George as well. But this story centers around Chris Paul. He said he played one-on-one with Chris Paul, and he beat him 5-0 without dribbling the ball. He just took it from the elbow and just shot it from different shooting pockets. Ridiculous. And Donovan Mitchell at that time, he was touted for his defense too, coming out of Louisville. People were talking about him in that Tony Allen mold. People didn't really know he had that
they didn't think. Yeah, I was gonna say the scoring was actually what shocked, which it feels like a lot of the time with the scorers in the league. Sometimes it's they're not known for scoring, but then they turn themselves into elite level scoring. Thinking Paul George was another guy who was out of Fresno State. He's talented, long arms, definitely can be a defender in this league. He could develop into a good offensive player and then became an elite scorer in the league. Same thing with Kawhi, obviously Donovan Mitchell.
They were more projects. They were more projects.
Yeah, they're more projects than Donovan.
And
Donovan came out.
And Donovan kind of came in as a project, but like you said, he kind of immediately shocked people with his scoring value. Yeah. With PG and Kawhi and even Jaylen Brown, they each kind of had similar trajectories where they were just super athletic defensive prospects. And then it eventually just the scoring came.
Scoring came to them, and they're now all of them are elite-ish level scorers depending on where you're starting from.
And speaking of Kawhi, man, I'm still feeling great about this. The Clippers are just
Clippers over.
They're scary.
Clippers over. Yeah, no, they truly are. No, the Clippers are. I mean, when we're going to talk about the Clippers here in about roughly 5-ish minutes, there's one more thing. There's one more that I'm going to discuss with you, and we're going to segue it in. We were talking about Jaylen Brown. He has a pretty good teammate called Jason Tatum. Sure. Who would you rather have, prime KD or Jason Tatum?
Oh, I'm always taking KD.
Taking KD. That's fair. I'm just curious because it's interesting to see how people value Jason Tatum, because I know there's so many varying opinions on Jason Tatum, especially in the national media. But
Tatum's
there's varying opinions on Jason.
People are ridiculous with Jason Tatum. Tatum,
I agree.
Tatum's an incredible player, incredible two-way player. He's been doing it since he was 19. And again, people are bored when this whole Jason Tatum is boring topic and the Celtics are boring topic comes up. I've never heard in my life until this year that Jason Tatum is boring. People compare him to Tim Duncan when we don't know shit about Tim Duncan still to this day. To this day, we don't know shit about Tim Duncan. We know more about Jason Tatum his rookie year than we ever did about Tim Duncan. Trust me, no one is as boring. I lived through Tim Duncan. No one's as boring as Tim Duncan as a star, besides John Stockton.
No, not at all.
Those are the two. And
Nikola Jokic is more boring as a star than Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I mean,
Jokic. The cool thing about Jokic is he horse rides, and you'll see him on a commercial once in a blue moon, maybe. But
and
Jason Tatum's with LMA, and he's on like multiple commercials. Like you market Jason Tatum. Like I don't understand.
I get it. Like Tatum is boring as far as like he doesn't have much personality. As far like he's just a cool, laid back dude. Like he's not. He's not even Kawhi, whereas Kawhi has no personality, but he's like worked that into personality trait almost. Like he's so mysterious kind of thing. Tatum, he's just a cool laid back dude. Like there's been plenty of people like that. But again, the media is just insane. I mean, the NBA media.
They need a face of the league, and they want him to be something that he's not.
Yeah.
And people, it's a problem.
And people act like that's what the stupid thing about this face of the league shit is. It's not like anyone ever like when Mike left, it wasn't like people were like, okay, now we got to crown the face of the league. Like, no, you had Shaq there, you had Kobe there. It was essentially who started winning. Duncan won immediately after Jordan left in a lockout year. Then Shaq won. Shaq's got all the personality in the world. So I mean, naturally,
it would
Shaq
be Jokic right now if he had more personality. Essentially,
Yeah.
like I think that Jokic would have kind of just felt like.
And you can
like
still be the face of the league without being out there. Like Ohtani's the face of the MLB right now, and no one, you know what I mean? Like it's essentially it's going to be who wins at the end of the day, and who is. Of course, popularity goes into that too, but. Yeah, after LeBron and Steph league, who is it going to be? No, it's probably not going to be.
I was about to say it's probably they're still in the league, so it's not like it needs to be a conversation as of this moment because until LeBron and Steph both leave, especially because they still are playing at top 10 player level, they're the face of the league. They're going to generate the most ratings. They're going to be the most talked about teams. They're going to be whatever. Then after that, I'm guessing. My guess would be Wemby. I think he's going to get into that. And that's fine.
That's who it's.
Like, that's great.
That's who it is meant to be.
Meant to be,
now.
honestly.
Like, what's that?
I said who it's meant to be. You said the same thing at me at the same time.
Luka's going to get more shine and he already would have had plenty of shine in Dallas too. But Lakers are going to take it to another level. It would be Zion. Yep. We've talked about that a million times. It would be Zion if he could, play a full season. That ship is kind of sailed. He'll still be a star. But as far as that goes, I mean, none of them have what Jordan, Kobe, LeBron have as far as all that, or Shaq. Like none of them are huge stars the way LeBron and Steph are. So I mean, that's tough for anyone to ask. Wemby, you got someone 7'5" who's got ridiculous game and something we've never seen before, and he's got a good concept of American culture. Yeah, like you just said, it's
most of the time. If you go through history, your faces of the league are going to be players that are so incredibly unique you haven't really seen them, or the only one that's never seen that's not that is Kobe. But Kobe was so close to Jordan, and he had his own like little thing, like the Mamba mentality and everything, so he deserved that too. But like you can go back to Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J. Magic, Bird, Mike, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, Steph, like Wemby, like they all have something where they're so uniquely talented that they're amazing.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I think it's gonna be Wemby, just because he's so uniquely talented and something we've like, what even is this player? Like this really, we always talk about how if you're gonna create a player, it's 2K. In our seasons when we wanted to, we're like, let's create a 7'5" guy who has handle, can shoot, and is such an elite defender he can guard all five. Well, we'll insert Wemby.
That's Wemby. That's Wemby. But going back to KD though, like it's hard to say because you know what, like Tatum's everything you'd want Durant to be in his prime as far as a leader goes. That's the disappointing thing. That's like why I can never ever get over this whole Golden State thing, because it's just like if KD stays with OKC or goes somewhere other than Golden State, he probably just wins one because he's so talented anyway. KD is just flawless as a scorer. He's a better defender than people remember. Like he's still defending at a good level right now, even with Phoenix. And
he was like secondary anchor on those Warriors teams for a defender. Like he was able, because the scoring load wasn't like the same as what it was in OKC, he was able to elevate that defense, and obviously he became their rim protector. Because Draymond's obviously just a free safety out there doing the greatness that he does on defense, but like KD became that rim protector because he's 6'11" with a 7'4" wingspan, and so
that's it.
He was a very good defender.
You know, you want to talk about like we talked about last year with Wemby coming in, talking about like him and LeBron being the two best prospects ever. Like which one was the better prospect? Like KD's up there too. That's why KD
and he didn't go to.
That's why KD
he went to.
You want to talk about faces of the league? Like that's why KD's always been like next after LeBron, and then Steph kind of took his place. But it's always been KD, LeBron, Steph. Like because of that reason, KD's been that guy since Texas, since before Texas. We knew about him in high school. We never seen anyone like that who's, you know, basically Jordan but 6'11", and then like can give you rim protection, like you said. Like, yeah, it's KD. It's KD. But shouts to Tatum too.
I agree.
Tatum's up there.
I wanted to add Tatum into that because I think it's KD as well, but I don't think you can just dismiss Tatum like he's not even like allowed to be in the conversation. And sometimes I feel like people just don't like to have him in the conversation of the elites. So he's
a franchise
top
player,
5 player,
and he's a champion.
He's top 5 player in the game. He's a champion. He possibly could be another champion. I do think he'll win at some point a future MVP. I think he's great enough where I think he could definitely win one. I mean, honestly, if we didn't have Jokic and Giannis in the league with how phenomenal they've been, and Embiid in that season he did, like he could have won an MVP within that stretch. But speaking of Jason Tatum and going into the teams, I have made a list of what I think the top 10 championship contenders are. So the teams that I think are most likely to go and be hoisting up a trophy at the end of the year. So I've got 10 here, and then I've got like 2 honorable mentions.
So
and these
give me the honorable mentions first, going that and then 10 to 1.
I'm going from 12 to 1 because I don't want to obviously just give the number 1 team. So 12, I have Memphis. They were a tough one for me to put in the list.
New head coach, Memphis Grizzlies. 2 weeks left in the regular season. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
And that is why I had because before they would probably have been within the top 10, but like I've just never seen a coach get fired this late into the season. And I just think new coach at this point of the season kind of like almost just says like disqualifies them almost. Like if they did it, I would be so incredibly shocked. But
I'm still shocked by that firing. Apparently it was, and I guess you can kind of assume it was Ja Morant motivated. Ja Morant, if y'all have been paying attention, has had a super weird season where he's just not exploding for these like high 20s, 35-point performances the way he did in the past. And the ball's not necessarily in his hands. And this is where I like Jenkins as a coach is he gets the most out of like all of his guys, right? Like their player development is insane. And prior to this season, Ja had no problems in the offense. So I don't really know what the strategy was taking the ball out of Ja's hands a lot this year. And they're still winning. I mean, I think they're the 5 seed right now. I think a few weeks ago, they were the 2 seed. So a lot of Memphis fans are upset with his rotations. My good friend Hannah, actually, she's a big Memphis fan. She was like, no, she's like, it was time for him to go. Like, I'm glad he's gone. I was shocked to hear that. Like, by the way, like I think he should be hired immediately this offseason for anybody who has a head
he'll be the
vacancy.
number 1 coach out there for whomever gets fired.
I would want him as the coach of my team. I think he's fantastic. But I mean, there was a lot of Grizzlies fans who were like, yeah, no, his rotations weren't it. Ball needs to be in Ja Morant's hands more, which fair. If y'all believe that, fair. But I cannot believe like what's the upside of firing him 2 weeks before the playoffs?
Yeah, no, like
that puts your interim in an incredibly tough position.
Yeah, I would have kept him for the remainder of the season, then let him go. Like I would have just kept the continuity there. But Memphis, I got at 12, and I've got New York at 11. I think the Knicks are 11.
Knicks aren't even in the top 10.
No, the Knicks aren't. We talked a little bit before, and I'll talk about this team when I get there. But the Knicks are right outside of the top 10 for me. I think that there could be as high as like if you put them at the 9. I think the top 8 are definitely better than the Knicks. I think if you wanted to get them up to 9, you could. So, and you'll hear the couple teams, and we'll go from there. Unless you have anything to say quickly about
My
it.
thing with that was like you've heard me talk about it on here. I don't necessarily take the Knicks seriously in comparison to the Celtics or the Cavs.
Yes.
My thing is if we're factoring in injury, you almost have to have the Knicks higher because like all it takes is like Donovan Mitchell going down for the Cavs for the Knicks to really have a chance. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'd have to hear the rest of the list before I really comment on the New York Knicks. I am surprised to hear them at 11. I guess my thing would be, if they're 11, why not make them 12? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're better than Memphis. I would have them in a series over Memphis, so that's
interesting.
Why
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. I think
I think the Taylor Jenkins thing just threw me off.
True.
But like
that, yeah.
that is, but like that there is kind of what made it.
So where does the FanDuel Sportsbook have both of these teams? If you got them at 12 and 11,
so the Knicks are 7th at plus 3,200, and the Memphis Grizzlies are 11th at plus 13,000.
Okay,
so,
all right.
The Knicks are 7th, so they're higher there. At 10, I have Houston. They're at plus 15,000, and they're the lowest out of this top 12.
I couldn't have Houston ahead of either one of them.
I see. For me, I could. I like their youth, and I like the fact that you've got multiple people who can go off on a given night. I know you have that and the continuity there. I like.
My counter.
I think with. No, I was just going to say quickly, Memphis, the reason why is Taylor Jenkins. So that's just my personal feeling on it. And with the Knicks, I get it. I think if they were to have a 7-game series, that it would be like a coin flip, which again, why they're 11 and 10 for me. But I think that the Knicks could get worn down because of the multiple people that Houston could throw at them and the athleticism that they have, plus having Sengun in the middle.
So
but you can give me your
my thing would be with either one of these teams. The goal, this is who's going to win the championship, right? Championship contenders.
Yep.
The Knicks could feasibly make it to the conference finals. The Grizzlies could feasibly make it to the conference finals if they got hot, right? I would not be surprised to see, okay, let me put it like this. Grizzlies, I don't think it'd be crazy for them to make it out of round 1, obviously. I don't think Houston's even making it out of round 1, and I don't think they'd be favored to get out of round 1. So
I think it depends on their matchup.
It would, but I mean, who at the 3? I'm taking Golden State over them. I'm taking Memphis over them. It
would be Minnesota. Would be maybe the team. I would take Minnesota over them. I have Minnesota higher. So.
I don't know if there's any team I would take Houston over.
I would take them over Memphis, and that's the only team that in the West that they're below.
I can't see them.
that matters.
I can't see them winning that.
So
that is a good matchup for Houston. I don't know. And Ime is a great coach, but
so that's the thing with me is I think that they've been very good defensively all year, and I think they'd be able to throw enough bodies at the Knicks to make it interesting. 7-game series goes either way, and again, that's why I said you could have the Knicks as high as 9, and I would have like no argument with it. It's just where
here's a big thing though, like for real, we're just talking about this though. Like, who do you want the ball in the hands of at the end of the game? You're gonna have it with, in the Knicks case, Jalen Brunson, Ja. Desmond Bane. I take that over, like, shoot your heart out if you want Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, like, go ahead. Like, I'm in love with that if I'm an opposing team. If that's who's taking shots in crunch time is Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet. And I love Fred VanVleet's game, and he's a champion and everything, but who am I more scared of on the other end? Ja Morant coming down with a head full of steam, coming off the pick and roll. No, I don't want to see any parts of Ja, who's dropped 50 in a playoff game compared to whoever Houston's throwing at me. Shouts to Sengun and all them, but I'd have Houston way down.
And I mean, fair. And that's, I mean, you would agree with FanDuel. They have them at the lowest out of all these groups at 12. So, and at 9, I have Indiana, which they're 10 at plus 1,100. So that's what I was saying. If you wanted to put the Knicks over Indiana, I get it. I personally have Indiana over the Knicks. I like that the way they're playing right now. Halliburton's been very good. With them having Mathurin this year, I think that they can go 8-9 deep. I really like Indiana. I think they would win a series against New York, and we might get that series.
Really good team, but you gotta play some defense for me to see it in the playoffs for them. So
fair. 8, I have Minnesota. They're at plus 6,000, and they're 9th on FanDuel. So I have Minnesota there at 9. At 8. My bad, at 9 on FanDuel, but I have them at 8. At 7, I have the Clippers, and I was debating on putting them at 6. They're 8th at plus 5,000 to win it all, and it really comes down to 4 series of Kawhi being healthy. If you could guarantee me his health, I would put him a little higher. But I'm not guaranteed his health. So they're plus 5,000, 8th on FanDuel, 7th on my list. 6th, I have Denver.
You got the Lakers. So the Lakers are top 5?
The Lakers and Denver were 2 teams that were back and forth with me. I'll just say, because we're talking about that team, I have the Lakers at 5.
Yeah, I can't.
But I have Denver at 6. And those teams are flip-flop for me.
I can't invest any part of the LA Lakers. Where does FanDuel have the Lakers, by the way?
The FanDuel has the Lakers at 5 at plus 1,900. They have Denver at 4 at plus 1,800.
Yeah, I mean, Lakers should, to me, Lakers shouldn't be any part of the top 5. I get it. It's LeBron and Luka. FanDuel, to me, FanDuel having them that high to me is completely a public, like, go ahead and bet them kind of grab to me. Because, I mean, again, who's playing the 5 once Jackson Hayes gets 3 fouls in the first half? Then what? You got Rui.
And I think it's tied there too, because obviously the Lakers are the most talked about team in the media, like national media. So, and I know there's multiple people who are like the Lakers are the second best team in the West. Like pretty much on all networks for the most part, the Lakers are the second best team in the West, and they're definitely they're on a collision course in the conference finals with the Thunder.
That's insane to me. That's insane.
I'm saying that's not even just like one like person. It is like pretty much almost cross network that the Lakers are top 2 in the Western Conference. That's what you
call an agenda right there. Because I mean, you got a team.
I have not understood it. I really don't. And like Denver, like the only thing it with is Denver doesn't really have the depth, but at the same time, like I'm like almost tempted to switch it to make it Lakers 6, Denver 5, because like I mean they have Jokic, and when you have the best player like that who can do so much, Jamal Murray really matters in this. If Jamal Murray's playing like he can, Denver's obviously as dangerous as anyone.
Jamal's been back. Like Jamal was clearly
absolutely.
Jamal was clearly hurt last year. It affected him in the Olympics, and Jamal's been hooping ever since the turn of the new year, right?
Yes.
Aaron
100%.
Gordon's back. You got Westbrook. They're about 7 deep, which is about what you need in the playoffs. My concern with them would be shooting. They can get stops. MPJ's been playing well. I mean, I don't see. I mean, you got Denver and the Lakers matching up in a series. I think Jokic would average like Wilt Chamberlain numbers against them.
The more that you're talking to me about it, the more I want to switch Denver to the 5 and LA to the 6.
I think they have to be. I mean, this was me.
You know what? You know what? This is why MS Stephen A would say the list is fluid. I'm going to do that. All right. So Denver's the 5 now. The Lakers have been talked down to the 6, and I agree with Kyle there. So
this is where we differ, because we talked about this on Wednesday with Petty. You and Brandon Petty would each have the Lakers ahead of the Clippers for me, whereas I'd flip the Lakers and Clippers right now. Clippers.
A healthy Clippers versus a healthy Lakers. I get what you're saying. Again, for hoisting a championship trophy, I just trusting James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, one health and one to participate in high leverage games. Well, that's the thing that I can't mentally get by it, because it's happened so much. But if you were to give me peak Harden playing and Kawhi healthy, I get you 100%, and I'm not arguing with you. I'll
say this: Kawhi's looking like damn near that peak. James Harden,
he looks great.
And James Harden, all you need from him is like 2.5 good games per series. He can do that. That's basically what he wants. That's basically what he wants to do. He can do that. And you have Norman Powell, who's like fully just like, all right, I'm the number 2 guy now as far as scoring goes. So
let's say not afraid of the moment.
You have 3 scorers.
Norman Powell can play, and then you've got Zubac in the middle, who can give a lot of people problems. He's a talented big inside. So no, you're right. The Clippers are dangerous, and no one wants to see them. Even like, could you imagine an OKC could see them in the first round if they fall to I don't think they're going to fall to the 8, but a 7-8 matchup with them and the Timberwolves, they could lose that, but they would win the next game. And for the Thunder to have to see the Clippers at 8,
give me Lakers.
Man, that's a tough first round.
Give me Lakers Clippers 4-5 matchup first round, please.
I would like that a lot. I would like that a lot. So 4, I have Golden State. They're plus 2,306.
That's high. That's a little high for me. I would have.
You would have Denver before them,
Denver
I'm assuming?
before them.
Would you have the Clippers or Lakers before them?
All healthy, I would have the Clippers ahead of them. In general, I might give Warriors are tough because they're so inconsistent. And their shooting ability outside of Curry is questionable.
They've been shooting. I was going to say depends on the night with them. But I think with the Warriors, they have legitimately 9 quality players who can actually, like 9 to 10 quality players who can like legitimately play. Like, so it really depends on like, can Gary Payton II shoot? Or like, is he shooting well from 3? And he's been streaky, but like he gives you so much defensively because he can guard a 1 and actually kind of give him fits. He's athletic. People like that. Moses Moody has turned himself into a nice role player. He's been shooting well from 3. Went a little slump, but over the season been shooting well. Like they just have now, everyone's fallen in line. I really like this Golden State team, and also it comes down to as well, can Jimmy Butler do Jimmy Butler? Like, can he be himself, essentially, playoff Jimmy?
He had a couple.
Like, if he can't.
He had a game, I think it was that night where Steph damn near broke his back, where I think the Warriors ended up winning, and I think it was the Raptors. Like, they were playing, and Butler had a terrible fourth quarter. Like, he did not shoot well. Like, he went, like, 2 of 12 in the fourth quarter.
And then against the Heat, obviously, that homecoming, he played bad, and the Heat kind of whacked
He threatened Pat Riley before the game.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not going to say, or what did he say? Yeah, I'm not going to say anything to him, and he better not say anything to me. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with this guy? I would have Denver ahead of them.
That's fair. The sports books have Denver at 4 at plus 1,800, Lakers at 5 at plus 1,900, Golden State at 6 at plus 2,300, and then 7's New York, and then 8's the Clippers.
I like Golden State better than the Lakers, for sure. So I would have Lakers 6,
Denver
theory.
5, Golden State.
Golden State 5,
Denver 5. Yeah.
Last thing about Golden State, Golden State. I need a series of them and the Nuggets. Last time we got it, Jokic had nobody with him. I think that would be an incredibly fun and an incredibly beautiful series to watch. Kind of like how it was with the Warriors and Kings, how up and down that was.
As of this moment, like as of if right now the playoffs were to start, that would be our matchup.
That would be our 3-6 right now.
Yeah, because the Clippers lost today because they played the Cavs. So the Timberwolves are right now the 7. The Clippers are the 8. Golden State's the 6. You got Memphis at the
Clippers
5.
The 8 right now. Because they lost.
They fell from 6 to 8 because of
when I looked earlier.
They were the 6. They were the 6 3 hours ago. But because they lost to Cleveland, and then the Warriors won.
I want something like this. I want the Clippers to somehow draw Houston, so we can get the Clippers in the second round. I want the Lakers to somehow be in the second round, and I want Denver and Golden State to all be in the second round too. So,
and you don't want OKC in the second round, apparently.
If there's a way for them to avoid OKC, I want OKC in the second round. OKC is fun to watch.
Sorry, you just named 4 teams. You would name Denver, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Warriors. So it's like,
if I need one, honestly, like if one had to drop out of all those, then I don't want this to sound like a hater or nothing, but it's like I'd rather see these teams before them. I wouldn't mind if the Lakers dropped out, just because they do not have the full team. Now, that being said, just Luke and LeBron by themselves, that's amazing to watch. So that's even unfair for me to say that. Maybe I should say the Clippers because, like you've said a few times, you really just don't know what you're getting with Kawhi. But, man, we've been so deprived of not only Kawhi but Giannis in the last few playoffs.
Yeah.
I need to see more of Kawhi. So I'm hoping this is the year that we get to see him. Notable, speaking of Giannis, you have not mentioned the Bucks yet, and we're inching towards the top 3.
They're not
even on your list. Got you.
No.
Because of Dame.
Where would they have been
with Dame?
Probably around 9-ish. Like maybe them in Indiana would be, and probably that was when we were talking about. They'd be around the Minnesota.
No one's ruled Dame out officially yet for like throughout the postseason.
No,
right?
he's like there's a chance he could come back in the playoffs, but until I see it, I don't want to say he's coming back and then have him not. So, but yeah, it is. But they'd be around the 8, 9, 10 range, or 8, 9, 10, just between Minnesota, them, and Indiana.
See, if you gave me the Bucks and the Knicks in this series, I'm taking the Bucks. I don't think there's any way the Knicks can guard him.
that I agree with that. So but yeah, right. I would love to see OKC, Minnesota in the first round, Houston, the Clippers. Or actually maybe Houston, Memphis. Honestly, because the reason why is because I'd love to see the Clippers and the Lakers first round, the Nuggets, Warriors. But anyways, or I'd like to see the Clippers. Or I'd like to see the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Lakers, Warriors maybe get to the second round. But regardless, I think the top three are we agree on the three. It's just the order. 3, I have Cleveland, and I think you would have Cleveland at 3. 2, I have OKC, and 1, I have Boston. I'm giving Boston the respect they deserve because they are champions. 1 and 2, they play in the easier conference than the Thunder. So, like, the bare minimum for the Celtics this year is the conference finals. Like, we would all be baffled if they didn't make the conference finals because they won't see the Cavs until then. And with the Thunder, they shouldn't, and I don't think they would, but a healthy Clippers team in the round 1 could spoil things. You know, like, you know, if the
almost making
the
the
Clippers
case though for the Thunder being third.
So like
because the Thunder could get upset.
Betting what
Thunder could get upset, and you know, right now, especially with Dame being out, it looks like depending on whoever the Knicks draw, and
the
how
Cavs really should get to the conference finals. So like if you were to bet a team, it would make sense because Cleveland's plus 500, OKC is plus 75. They're actually the favorites, or 175, I should say, and Boston's plus 185.
Plus one. Wait. Give me
the Thunder are plus 175 to win it all right now. So you bet 175 to win 100, and then Boston's at plus 185.
Wow.
So like,
wow.
And then Cleveland's plus 500, and then the next highest is the Denver Nuggets at plus 1800. So essentially, they're saying OKC is at plus 175.
They're saying it's the
and
field.
Denver's at
They're
plus
saying Celtics
1800.
or OKC versus the field in either conference, which is to me a little crazy.
Yeah. And the only team that can actually like contend with them in the way is Cleveland, and that would just like
that's
So
I don't agree with that. I see what they're going by the regular season, but it's going to be an extremely tough postseason for OKC.
I would say it would realistically make sense if you had Cleveland ahead of OKC, not because they're specifically the better team, but Cleveland realistically has to truly win one series to get to the finals. Like, obviously they have to win the other two, but the first round should be a cakewalk, and the second round could be tough against Indiana or maybe the Knicks or someone, but they should win that series. So it'd be like, can you get by Boston is the question for the finals. And for the Thunder, it's can you win a round, multiple round, like going through the Timberwolves or the Clippers, then just say the Warriors or the Nuggets, and then having to go through, I don't even know, like whatever. Like they have to go through, that's just a very tough road, and then have to go face a Boston team, most likely to me, that's well poised. But I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a very good team. But yeah, that is mine. And we kind of, the only real thing that we fully disagree with, or not like disagree, but you would have different really, is Denver up higher. You just have Denver ahead of Golden State and the Lakers. Me, I have Denver. I have Denver in between them. So you just basically have Denver.
You put a
gun
to my head. You put a gun to my head and you say, like, who are you trusting in these playoffs? I trust Boston. I trust Cleveland in the East. After that, it's, whatever, right? Especially if Dame were to come back, Bucks have a case, right? And Knicks, I've been saying it since the beginning, since before the season. My whole thing with the Knicks has been depth. They need depth.
Yes.
So with depth and with maybe one more, Mitchell Robinson, that can't be your difference maker. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to win you a series. So, gun to my head, it's those two teams in the East. With Dame, Bucks would kind of skyrocket, even though, they're relying on a lot of Kyle Kuzma right now. In the West, Thunder have earned our respect, but postseason wise, come on. Jokic, who is just like...
that's the Warriors and the Nuggets have the most postseason experience on their rosters, which is why I value both of those teams, and I think I value them over the Lakers, because, like, don't get me wrong, like, obviously LeBron has enough playoff experience for everyone on Houston 3 times over. But like, Fred VanVleet really is there, but like other than that, they really don't have much playoff experience at all. But like, Dalton Connect's probably going to have to play you some minutes. I get Rui Hachimura has played in some playoff games, but Jackson Hayes, Austin Reeves, but like you have Luka and LeBron who have had true playoff success and sustained runs, and then after that, it's spotty. And then like with Denver, pretty much the whole team has won a championship. Obviously, Westbrook's been to a finals, been to many playoff deep runs. Then with the Warriors, everyone on that team was a part of their championship team for the most part. If not, Jimmy Butler's been to the final twice. Buddy Hield's played in maybe a couple playoffs here and there, but like Buddy Hield doesn't have to be in your rotation. Buddy Hield, yeah. Like he can legitimately fall out of your rotation and it's not the end of the world. But like you have a champ, like Golden State still has a championship culture there. The Lakers are trying to build it.
Golden State,
they have championship DNA at the top, but like they're still trying to build it as a team culture wise.
Golden State's going to put the fear of God in somebody, and I don't know. The 2 teams I keep coming back to when I'm like, all right, who could really ruin it for OKC? I guess the 3 teams I should say would be Denver, Golden State, and the Clippers. And I've been on here since 2020 talking about whatever iteration. I was on here last year talking about the Clippers could beat Dallas in round 1, and Kawhi got hurt. Yep. So like it's silly for me to even bring it up because that's all it takes is Kawhi getting hurt. That being said, who would scare me the most as an OKC fan? It'd be those 3. And I don't know. I think people are heavily sleeping on the Nuggets, especially because I guess they do have the Nuggets and Warriors, Keenan. They do bother me because sometimes they're inconsistent. Sometimes they lose to a team you don't think they should lose to at this point in the season. And the difference between them and the Lakers would be the Lakers aren't straight up losing to the Bulls by giving up 150. Obviously, they lose to Giddey the other day on a crazy shot, but
they actually did lose to the Bulls by giving up 150.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the Saturday before.
Oh. Yeah, sorry. I thought you said they're not. And I was like, oh, no, they actually did exactly that.
I'm saying my bad. The Warriors my bad.
I heard that wrong.
The Warriors and Nuggets are not losing to the Bulls
okay.
By giving up 150.
That was like the Lakers literally lost.
That's a really specific analogy that you gave that the Lakers actually.
It was like yours, that's really specific that actually did happen. Sorry, I misheard that. But I'm with you there. And the Golden State, we're going to learn about them. You're gonna form a stronger opinion one way or another, I think, over this next week-ish. They see Memphis, the Lakers, the Nuggets, and the Rockets, and then they end their season with the Clippers. So like their April stretch is incredibly tough, and if they can get through it by being the 6 or maybe even creeping up to the 5 because of obviously how things play out, you'll have more confidence in them probably. But like obviously they could fall to the play-in. And then if they have to go through the play-in, and then after that, maybe see OKC in round 1, that could be a team that falls out of round 1. So we'll see.
Can I complain real quick?
Yeah. But I was going to say after that, I'm done with everything. So your complaint, let that be the last thing we talk about. Go.
I actually got one.
Go complain.
I actually have one real topic I want to say that we can close out on, but complaint, what was it like maybe 3 weeks ago? Maybe a month ago, I don't know. It would have been about 3 weeks ago, probably, where Luka and the Lakers, they hosted the Mavs, right?
Yep.
And I'd remembered, after the Luka trade, someone had said, there's 2 matchups, Lakers and Mavs, a home and home, in the second half of the season. And I remember after the Lakers game, after the Lakers Mavericks game in LA, I looked it up, typed it in, I think I looked up both teams' schedules, Keenan. And I swear to God, and maybe I'm just, who knows, but I swear to God this happened. I swear to God I looked up both schedules and I could not see LA, Dallas anywhere. I'm like, that doesn't make sense because I swear I've heard that they're playing each other, blah, blah, blah. And then they're playing on April 9th, next Wednesday, which is going to be the weirdest game I've ever watched, I think. I think it's going to be the weirdest game any of us has ever watched, honestly, with the reaction that Luke is going to generate from the Dallas Mavericks fans. Like you said, I think we brought this up before. I completely agree with you. I think there's going to be fans just bawling their eyes out, in disbelief that they're witnessing this, especially with Luka being, isn't he only 25? He's not even 26 yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it gets worse by the day. And again, they're playing next Wednesday, so I just wanted to complain about talk about ESPN being the worldwide leader. Google the worldwide leader. They apparently led me wrong because I swear I looked at it for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I know they play each other. Looked at both schedules, and for some reason it was just not on the Google.com. So maybe I was just blind that night. Maybe my age is catching up to me. I don't think that was the case. I swear to God that happened. And then when I saw, like last week, I saw that, April 9th, Lakers at Mavs. I was like, Google, they pulled one over me. I don't know what it was. Again, I might just sound insane to all the listeners and viewers, but I swear to God, when I looked 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was not on either team's schedule on Google. Not on the NBA sites, but on Google. So that's my complaint. Last topic, Keenan, that I want to talk about. We talked about it briefly on Wednesday. It actually dropped on Wednesday, and at the time, I had not watched this. It was the LeBron interview with Pat McAfee. Actually, I have one more topic after. I just remembered too, by the way. But I watched exactly half this interview last night before I went to bed. Did not get to finish it today like I planned, but I was kind of disappointed with the interview. It was not at all what I was expecting. I expected LeBron to be more, the way it was presented to me and the way like social media was reacting was like LeBron unloaded the clip, which I guess he kind of did, but he did not seem that revealing or vulnerable to me. And Pat McAfee was not asking hard-hitting questions. I thought there was points in the beginning of the interview, and again, I still have probably 40, 45 minutes left, or maybe even 35 minutes left to watch this interview. There was a point, Keenan, where literally LeBron was like shitting on how the league's covered and how they do too much of the debates and this and that. And he literally, the very next prompt he gave was the whole Giannis would drop 250 in the 70s. If Giannis played in the 70s, he'd drop 250 on him. And he was literally talking about how that's the NBA's discussion online and this and that. And then he went himself and made like the common, plumbers kind of debate. You know what I mean? Like he was literally taking part of the discourse that he was lamenting. And it just seemed like McAfee was throwing stuff at him that was like kind of softballs, like saying like, oh, people say LeBron flops, and LeBron obviously was like, oh no, I don't flop. I'm in the lower half of free throw attempts. And it's like, all right, what am I actually learning from this interview? I didn't gain much from that interview. I think the biggest tidbit or biggest nugget he gave was how he was winning, obviously, since he first started playing basketball, and that created a winning culture for him from his basketball infancy all the way through to the NBA.
Yep.
And how, creating a winning culture around you obviously gives you, more positive energy, I did not learn a ton, though. The way they talked about, like, online was saying he delved into his relationship with Kobe and his relationship with MJ, and it was really like 30-second answers and not much, press on like what this relationship was like. So it wasn't the hard-hitting interview I expected, and it made me again wonder, why did he choose Pat McAfee? Why didn't he go on like KG and Paul Pierce's podcast, where that would have been like a true laid-back version of LeBron? This seemed Go ahead.
You choose Pat McAfee because you're beefing with Stephen A. and you go to the other big platform on the worldwide league.
Sure, maybe. Yeah, okay. You're never going to give Stephen A. an interview, but...
No, I'm just saying, like, you do that to spite him. You do it, you're in Indiana there. You drop that because the whole Stephen A. Smith thing comes about. Like, if that didn't happen, I don't think he does this interview. And, like, so I just think...
the reason why I disagree with that is because this interview must have been planned months in advance. It couldn't have been something that was on a whim where Pat McAfee's like, hey, drop. You know what I mean? Like that whole Stephen A. thing was within the last 10 to 12 days.
I could have seen it happening. Like, I don't know. It depends on when this came out, but I don't know why he chose that. But
someone like LeBron. I don't know. With me, I would have a hard time believing LeBron's schedule would even allow for him to take an interview like that on a whim. And the whole Stephen A. thing, like, which, by the way, LeBron kind of played that masterfully because Stephen A. just came out looking ridiculous the next day, talking about he wasn't at Kobe's funeral when he was, and why weren't you at D Wade's retirement thing? Like, Stephen A. just looked ridiculous, and honestly, it seems like no winners came out of it because LeBron's taking it all as like, I'm defending my son, but like a lot of the national media and a lot of the extended media has said the same exact things as Stephen A. It's not just Stephen A. when it comes to the whole Bronny thing. I was just disappointed in how much I did not learn from this interview. It did not seem like a genuine version of LeBron. I don't want to say he was disingenuous either, but he seems more. I thought his guard was going to be completely down like it is in the shop, and it seemed like LeBron just kind of wanted to push narratives. Again, I still got the second half, so maybe I'll come in on Wednesday and say the second half was a little better, but I did not learn a ton about LeBron from this interview so far.
Fair. I was kind of in the same boat because I've only watched the first half of it as well, and then I saw the Stephen A. stuff and then everything. So I agree with what you're saying for the most part. And you said there was one more thing?
Yeah, I found out yesterday. I was unaware until yesterday. Did you know so obviously you being really big into the WNBA, right? Mm-hmm. We know that the WNBA players, the reason why they have this unrivaled league is because a lot of the elite players go overseas during the winter to get their basketball reps in. Then obviously they come into the WNBA in shape. I did not realize there was an American 5-on-5 league, whether it's semi-pro or pro or otherwise, that WNBA players play in. Were you familiar with this?
I actually wasn't, no.
It's called like AU Pro, like AW Pro. Is how I'm taking the pronunciation as that. It could be AU Pro, I don't know, but it's AU Pro. And yeah, there's some WNBA players. Seems like more so role players that are in the league, but it's a 5-on-5 league that's American. And it seems like this is either the first season or second season. So I thought that was really interesting. Stumbled upon it on Instagram.
No, that is really interesting. I did not know that was a thing either, but that is interesting because I don't think any of the big ones do play in it, but yeah, no, that is really interesting. I'm also interested to see what Unrivaled is next year, too. I know Paige is going to be in it, and obviously she deserves to be in it. But I'm interested, too, because you're going to have the WNBA maybe have a lockout because of the fact of, like, depending on, like, how much money they can get. Mm-hmm. And so I think Unrivaled could be even bigger next year, especially if you can get Caitlin and Asia knowing that this lockout's coming up, too. So you get Caitlin, Asia, Paige, Flage might come out of the draft, so you can get players like that too. So I think like you could make this 3-on-3 thing much longer and much bigger, especially if you're going to offer that kind of money, and especially if you're going to have a lockout where people aren't playing. It could look like the Drew League did when you saw LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, KD, and all of them going there crazy. So yeah,
Unraveled's only like a month and a half, 2-month league. It seemed like, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
like a 6-week.
Yeah, it wasn't too long, but it was cool. It was definitely something that the WNBA players are going to be able to flourish off. And I think that Unrivaled being at this time is kind of perfect. You establish the league, and then next year you possibly could get it with the collective bargaining. And I think it's skyrocket if you get all the press behind it and you get really like, this is women's basketball right now. Oh, yeah, Sabrina didn't play in it. I don't like she did. She played in it. I don't remember. But I don't know why. That was the only player I can't remember. I don't think she did. But other than that.
Crazy. Well, I'll send you the link to that league, though.
Please do, because I did not know that was a thing. But this was good. I enjoyed this. I learned more about your basketball thoughts, and we'll definitely get back into basketball like in fully once everything solidifies. Obviously, we got March Madness coming up soon. We got the draft coming up soon, so we'll get to see Timmy again. And Timmy wants to talk a little basketball, so we'll get that. Brandon back as well. Hopefully some good music comes out here relatively soon. But again, this was the Warner Brothers Podcast with Keenan, with Kyle. Like us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us there. Video, comment, all of that's good stuff. All at Warner Brothers Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys very soon.